guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome and thanks for joining me. My name is Faith and I am a homeschool mom of 4, and this is our 7th year just wrapping up a homeschool. So it's hard to believe that we've been doing this for 7 years, but today I want to share with you what our plans are for our homeschool or just our summer plans. So by and large, we are not a year-round homeschool family. And let me explain that, because in a way I kind of think that we are, but not in the traditional sense, and that we keep the books open and going all throughout the summer. It's just that in the summer, our learning looks different. And really, that's the kind of attitude that we're trying to instill in our kids, is that learning doesn't have to look like a textbook or a book and, worksheets and writing. We're just trying to show them that learning can look different across the board. Learning doesn't start and stop with the opening of a textbook, but that we're generating and trying to grow lifelong learners, that you're always learning and you never have to stop. And the subjects and the topics and everything that you're going after can just change over time. So while we, at least this year, do not plan on doing your more traditional homeschool throughout the summer, we are planning on a summer break, closing the books for a time. We do have things that we, plan on learning and plan on exploring, even though it's not going to be coming from a textbook or some sort of curriculum. And so I just wanted to share these things. A lot of them are not going to be new to you. Maybe some of them are, but a lot of people have a lot of the same ideas, right? So I'm just going to be sharing what we are planning for our family over the summer. So first off, and one of the things that I think is just super important, is just outdoor play. We are blessed that both of our parents, while we live in a community with sidewalks and neighbors, our parents do not. And so our kids are the recipients, the blessed recipients, to be able to visit and spend a lot of time with their grandparents who have property and land that they are free to roam and take hikes on. And, they build bonfires and they ride mini bikes and they take tractor rides and they build teepees with sticks, and they get sticks and they sharpen them with their knives. I mean, we're just talking about all the fun, just natural outdoor nature play. I mean, aside from doing all those things that I just mentioned, they're also like, you can't see the stars very well in the city. And so when we're there, they're like stargazing, and my parents have a telescope and they will pull out the telescope so the kids can look at the stars. We will take walks and you're seeing birds and hawks, and you're seeing butterflies and tons of different plants and trees and seeds and all these different things. My parents plant a garden, so they're helping weed the garden and water the plants, just doing all of those things that they don't have the opportunity to do here. And they're just instilling a good work ethic. And I mean, there's just so many things I could go on of all the benefits that I think of just being outside, spending time outside, and enjoying God's creation. And that kind of just leads to like play. Whether the play is indoors or outdoors, I think sometimes we underestimate the power of a child's imagination and forcing them to figure out something for themselves. A lot of times I feel like we feel forced to have this like big long list of, you're going to do this from here and here and here and here and here, and everything is outlined and the kid knows exactly what's going to happen right after the other. And I think if we're constantly organizing every single activity that they do throughout the day, they lose that ability to use their imagination. And they need that. They need to be forced to use their imagination. So having some time set aside throughout the day where it's like, you need to figure out what you want to do. And I'm not going to tell you, but you have to go do something. You're not going to sit here and tell me you're bored. You need to go find something, use your imagination, build something, create something, but it's got to be on you and on your terms. So aside from just being outside and playing, those are easy, right? We can set those things aside, but I always like to have a set amount of time each day that one, I am reading aloud. So we always have a read aloud. I grabbed the current one. So we'll probably finish this before, if we don't take too long to finish it, but this is our current read aloud. We're reading The Willoughbys. And so the read alouds now aren't necessarily pertaining to science or history, like we try to incorporate them throughout the year, but rather they are just some fun reads that are, bestsellers or classical books that everyone always suggests. This was just one that was suggested to us, so we thought we would give it a try. So we are currently reading this one, and that will continue throughout the summer. Every morning we just try to read something from the Bible. A lot of times we're reading like that day's proverb, and then we'll flow right into our read aloud for the day. And we continue that basically throughout the entire year. Doesn't matter if we're in school or out of school. It might look different as to what book we're reading or what we're reading from the Bible, but we try to kind of keep that consistent in our lives. Now, after the read aloud, sometime throughout the day, I like to send the kids to their room for like a half an hour, and it's just their quiet time to read. So they, obviously Eden is not reading. She's just looking at pictures, or she can sit with one of her brothers who can read to her. But all the three boys, they can read on their own now. So they're sent to their rooms, and they just need to read to themselves or Eden for about 30 minutes. And I try to instill that. It's just a quiet time, separating everyone, giving everyone time to refresh, recalibrate. And I like having that too, because I feel like it's just everyone kind of decompresses in that half an hour. Another thing that they like to do is they're just playing with some toys. So I might have an additional quiet time throughout the day. Depends on how crazy things are, but they might have a time where they're going to be playing with Legos or cars or Barbies or, house, whatever it is that they're playing. And it's just like a quiet activity. You're all going to go to your room. You're going to be playing with your age appropriate toys. And they also might be listening to Adventures in Odyssey during that time. So I know I've shared that in previous videos where my kids just have a subscription to the Adventures in Odyssey Club, where they have access to all of the Adventures in Odyssey, and they love it. They listen to it all the time. If they're in their room drawing, playing, they're listening to Adventures in Odyssey. So that's another way where I kind of treat that as if it were an audiobook. It's another opportunity for them to hear someone reading to them. So if I'm feeling especially spunky on a certain day and I want my kids to do some, educational apps, we do have some apps on the iPad for them to do. So we've got the math facts where they can choose whether or not they want to do some addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and it'll go through some math facts for them. We also have a reading app where they are working on spelling and reading, and they each have a profile for that. And then we also have an Osmo. So that's really great for, I'd say mainly Eden and Ezra. They like to play on that. So a lot of times if I'm just feeling like, we haven't done anything, let's get something educational in, I'll just kind of like, why don't you do Osmo? Why don't you do the reading app? It's enough of a game. I know I've mentioned before, my kids love electronics. So if I can pull in some sort of educational game that's on the iPad, I think they sometimes forget that they're learning or doing some sort of educational app, that it just feels like a game. So a lot of times I will have them do those as well. One way that I like to sneak in writing for my kids, because, writing never is at the top of their list. But if I'm trying to sneak it in, one way that I try to do that over the summer is with pen pals. So my kids love sending and receiving postcards. And so a great way to just get them to do some writing, tell about their, be able to recall their day or something interesting, is through just sending a postcard. So if you're trying to just keep some basic skills up, have them be a pen pal with one of their friends, exchange some postcards when you're on vacation. I always travel with postcard stamps because my kids, or I try to at least, because my kids love to send postcards. So that's a great way to try and sneak in some writing as well. Now, one of the favorite things that I like to do in our homeschool, regardless of whether or not it is in school in the school year or out of the school year is really letting the kids take off with their own interests. And I know that I have shared it. Actually, if you are interested, you can watch the video about how we studied birds, because about like a year and a half ago, my kids were obsessed with birds, all things birds. And we just dove into it. We were going to aviaries and the zoo, and we were reading bird books, and we had binoculars, and we were, drawing birds. We were doing all things birds. Well, the time of birds has since passed, and we are now on to all things cars. At least for the three boys. They are obsessed with NASCAR and all things motor, engine, horsepower, all the stuff that I know nothing about, but they're obsessed with cars. And so what I try to do is just give them the tools to educate themselves on it. I cannot offer any guidance in cars. I cannot impart any knowledge on it. So instead, I just try to give them some tools to do things, whether that is getting them to talk to people, watching science videos on YouTube. We find as many YouTube videos about cars and horsepower and acceleration, all those different things, so that they can watch them. Again, I will give you a little piece of advice. Preview those videos before you do. My husband always tries to watch any videos before we introduce them to the kids. Make sure that they're kid appropriate, especially when you're dealing with cars. But those are the kinds of things that we're getting them. So I have, like, right here, we have accumulated, the car book, which is the DK book. We have another DK Smithsonian book that's about cars and trains, ships and planes, basically every kind of vehicle. They have also, 100 Cars That Changed the World. I mean, these books are just riddled with like excellent pictures and photos of cars, lots of facts about them. And that leads them to being more curious and wanting to know more. A lot of times what they're doing, so I gathered up some of the pictures that they have drawn themselves through looking at the books and at different pictures that we've put on the iPad. But, starting Ezra, we can see the varying levels of ability here. That's Isaiah. This is Isaiah as well. But then you can see Gabriel, my oldest, is really starting to take his time on here. I'm honestly impressed. I am not an artist. I can tell you I have no part in these, but a lot of them, he's actually getting really good. And what too is he will write down the style, and then he's getting like some facts to share about them. So he's starting to do some research on the different kinds of vehicles and their top speeds, their horsepower, how fast they go from 0 to 60, different things like that. They're also making he's created his custom built car. So he wants a Dodge Charger RT. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but he has now made a little book of his designed vehicle of these special editions that he wants to put onto his car, and this side view, and how it's going to handle a track. These are the kinds of things that I'm not assigning them or asking them to go and do, but I'm just giving them the tools to be able to do stuff that they already love. So one way I do that is they will use the iPad in a way, trying to get it unlocked here. We will go, and take pictures from just Google of different cars, and I will take a screenshot of it. I don't want them on Google themselves. So they know they're not allowed, and so they bring me the iPad. I find the car that they're looking for. I take a screenshot of it, and then they can go into their photos and have a collection of the different pictures that they would like to have access to. That way they can just go into their gallery, find a new picture to draw in color. So that's a quick way to give them access to different things, whether or not it is cars or birds or dinosaurs or whatever it is that your child is interested in. You could give them access to just some different pictures that they could draw, and they can spend some time, quiet time doing that during the day as well. But it doesn't even end there, because, just not the drawing and the researching, but like go and see what you can find in your local area that pertains to what your child is interested in. So for us, there happen to be different racetracks that are available that we could go to, that they could go and watch a racetrack. We make it a priority to look up different car shows that are in the area so that the kids can go and have that exposure to the different cars. There are just tons of different ideas, regardless of what topic or, subject your child is interested in. Just go in and delve in, let that interest grow by exposing them to all these different areas of that subject. And that kind of leads us to the last thing, and that is travel. Like, take advantage of your local area, or just the general United States, wherever, if you have the ability to travel wherever, go travel, go see some of these places. They don't have to be learning from a textbook. They could be learning while also traveling and enjoying just being outside. We love to travel, and when we travel, if we can, we'll go to a battleship, or we'll go to a fort, or we will go to all these old ruins, whatever it is. We will go to just about anywhere. They have junior ranger programs at national parks. My kids, I won't say that they love those, but I love for my kids to do those. And I'll say that while they may not love it, because I think they do associate that with school, they do enjoy a lot of the activities, and we do realize that when we walk away, they have learned more having done that than we would if we just walked around whatever national park or site that we were visiting. But we love going to nature centers and zoos and museums and science centers and all the local places that you can visit. We love to take advantage of those during the summer. Those aren't just field trips to be scheduled during the academic school year. All right, guys, that's basically just some of the ideas that we have planned for this summer. I don't have anything formally planned. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants, but understand that learning is constantly happening. So I would love to hear what ideas you guys have. What are some of the things that you're planning in your house with your family to continue your learning throughout this summer? So drop those below. And as always, if you guys have any questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer them. And until next time, guys, have a blessed day.